what the FCC is supposed to be doing is making sure these stations are protecting the public interest, protecting the First Amendment. And what's happening here, and what Brendan Carr has done throughout his tenure, is protect Donald Trump's interest. And what's almost funny here is that they're using the specter of DEI to go after ABC, right? But this has nothing to do with DEI. It has to do with the fact that, Jimmy Kimmel keeps on making fun of the president.
And Rosie when she was
on. And with the fact that ABC didn't air that bizarre primetime address from Donald Trump where he claimed that it was actually China that helped Joe Biden get elected. And there's actually 250,000 non-citizens who are voting in our elections. That speech is why Brendan Carr has decided to do these snap reviews of these licenses. So I think we're in a bad place, but we're in a better place because ABC is filing this lawsuit.
Well, it's nice to see them finally catch up and understand the assignment.
That's right. Drag him a little bit, Mr. Chairman, because I mean, on the View, it started looking like I done seen Marjorie Taylor Greene one too many times. Okay.
I love it when conversion hits and the light from whatever source sort of gives you the idea that maybe we were wrong or we misplaced the ideal before. And now they understand what the First Amendment really means, because we've had too many examples over the past, especially the past 2 years, of an abuse of that. I do want to play, since you referenced the Rosie O'Donnell piece, I do want to play a little bit of Rosie, because there's a thought behind this. Let's listen to Rosie.
I've been living in Ireland for the past 2 years because of Mango Mussolini. I read that Project 2025 and said, gotta get myself out of here, And I decided to go to Ireland, a place where people are driven to drink regardless of who's running their country.
Now, that's tamed by a whole lot of standards, but it doesn't play well in certain circles in this new Washington. And at the core of this is that particular aspect of our political speech and our First Amendment freedoms to actually have entertainers like Rosie or Kimmel and others who have paid, unfortunately, a price because they exercise their freedoms and they entertain the American people. How do we see more of this now on the heels of this ABC lawsuit? Do you think that CBS is a special case? We have to call people to talk about them. But
they're the perfect case because that shows how the pressure changes things.
How the pressure changes things. So how do you see that playing out? I mean, in light of what you said at the beginning about what this, in answer to Eugene's question.
I think the founders understood that telling people to shut up does not actually make them shut up. I think they got that. And they said, no, more speech. We're going to go with the more speech. And so, look, I do think we're going to get more of it. But what I kind of think is darkly funny is that this White House believes that by threatening people, by telling reporters in the Oval Office, shut up, you're mean, they're actually going to stop people from talking about how we're losing this war in Iran and how 250,000 people left the economy last month and how sailors are eating rotten meat in the USS Lincoln. It doesn't make sense. We will talk more about those things when you browbeat and threaten whether it's Disney or White House reporters in the Oval Office. So I do think we're on an upward trend, and I don't think the White House is helping by telling people, no, let's talk about DEI. Let's talk about how you are mean and your kids will be ashamed of you because you're so mean to me.
Maybe I'm a little bit pessimistic. I want to believe we're on an upward trend, Alvaro. I do. But the information infrastructure in this country is under attack. And you don't have to ban speech in America to chill it, right? And this administration, I think, has understood that very well. So Brendan Carr does things like go after ABC for the licenses, or just broadly anyone, and then says we're going to use ABC as a test case. There's the Sinclair and other folks who are trying to buy up local media outlets, and then there's a certain slant in which way they present the news. I'm using quotes for the people listening. There's folks like Elon Musk or the Ellisons. Elon Musk buys buys Twitter. The Ellisons, they have a stake in TikTok, and it has changed. And now they own CBS, and now there's this merger situation on the forefront. And they've made promises about what they would do at CNN, for example. And then you've also got the president then attacking journalists repeatedly in the Oval Office. The latest attack on Kristen Holmes, the CNN journalist, who was literally just doing her job. I believe that they want to crush the will of not just the people in this country, but this government. They want to crush the will of the press and anybody in the information economy so that they think twice before they say or do something. They want Kristen Holmes to think twice before she asks another question in the Oval Office, and the other mainstream reporters to do the same. And I haven't seen anything from the White House today and watching the live streams, but I hope Kristen Holmes continues to ask her questions because they're real.
Immediately after.
She did immediately after.
Continue to ask more
But wouldn't Kristen Holmes not have to think twice if she had the part of the backbone there would be the newsroom behind her that made it very clear, you come after her, you come after us.
Right. And they released a statement immediately after.
She's a CNN reporter, am I right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
CNN is about to be bought, hopefully not, by Paramount. And look, maybe I am being too rosy. This is the next check, right? Paramount is poised by Warner Brothers. They control CNN. And, it's an election day, an election year. I think it's kind of funny that Brendan Carr isn't talking about this merger, because I was just in Georgia where dozens of camera operators, sound guys, costume designers, etc., said this merger will cost me my job. Brendan Carr has the tools to stop this merger.
And they're saying that because there are more movies now and production being done in Georgia than in California at this point.
That's exactly right. So people in Georgia, right, big state this election, are saying this will cost me my job. Brendan Carr has the tools to stop it because they need extra special approval because Qatar, Saudi, and Abu Dhabi are going to own a huge chunk of this thing, and he's not saying a word about that. I think that's wild, and I think it speaks to the fact that this president cares more about loyalty than he does about jobs, and he certainly cares more about loyalty than he does the First Amendment.
Loyalty and beating his enemies, right? Like so much of what we see.
But now the enemies are the American people.
The enemies are everybody.
Anybody who's not on his side.
Exactly. Anyone who's not parroting what he's saying, anyone who's not feeling what he's feeling, anyone who's not accepting the lies that he is telling the American people about the economy.